So there's this YouTuber called Your Movie Sucks who started this series called Childhood Trauma. When he finished that series, he asked a bunch of other YouTubers to contribute to a Childhood Trauma playlist where they can all talk about how they were giant pussies growing up. You should check out that playlist. It has some pretty great videos in it. But not now, like stay, watch this first, stay here, and then afterwards you can go. Anyways, I'm making this video because I thought it was a pretty great concept and I wanted to share some of the experiences that I personally had. So this is me joining a party that I was never invited to and making the first unofficial childhood trauma video. Let me know if you like or hate. Yeah. When I was younger, I sometimes liked to watch shows with an older audience in mind. So yes, I watched shows like SpongeBob, I watched Ed, Edd n Eddy, I watched
motherfucking WWE Monday Night Raw live from Madison Square Garden.
But I also like to watch a lot of things on Discovery Channel, like Mythbusters or Dirty Jobs, and even A Haunting. Who was in charge of naming this series? Ooh, A Haunting! Ooh, A Haunting. Seriously, dude? You couldn't even get more boring if you tried. Do you know how hard it was to find the name of this series? Not only does it have the most generic name ever, but I've effectively blocked 90% of this show from my memory because of how terrified it left me. When trying to find this specific show, I first confused it with The Haunted, a different, marginally better named paranormal show that was on Animal Planet. Why was there a show about ghosts on Animal Planet? Because fuck you, that's why. So yeah, A Haunting. I remember watching this show on the weekends in the early afternoon when I was home alone. Being in a creaky house all by myself in a quiet neighborhood ended up making the whole experience worse, surprisingly. Every episode follows more or less the same basic structure. Victims notice a few incidents that become more and more frequent. They deny being haunted as much as they can, but shit hits the fan and they get some outside help, usually from a paranormal investigator or a religious dude. Sometimes people get rid of the ghosts and live happily ever after. Sometimes they sell the house and get the hell out before they end up being ghost lunch. The thought of becoming ghost lunch becomes more terrible when you realize that ghosts don't have to eat. If I watched an episode or two, my whole day basically went down the drain of paranoia. Dogs barking outside? They heard a ghost. Toilet made a weird noise when flushing? Ghost. See a reflection of a bloody old woman with blackened out eyes in the mirror behind you while you're brushing your teeth? Probably not a ghost. You're good.
Whoa, why is it 2 degrees colder in here than outside? Is that a ghost?
At night I would have to turn off the lights downstairs because I was the last one to fall asleep. And if I watched the show on that day, I'm pretty sure I ran back up the stairs faster than the goddamn Flash. Which doesn't make sense if you think about it. A ghost doesn't care if it's dark or not. It'll haunt you at the crack of dawn if it wanted to. But I'm alive, so I guess my tactics worked. Unlike other ghost shows, this one is probably the least corny that I've ever seen. The acting in normal conversations could have been better, but this show didn't fuck around with its reenactments. Those scenes were pretty tense, especially for kid me. Now, I'm not here to argue whether these stories about ghosts were real or fake. I don't know. What I do know is that I probably shouldn't have been watching this show as a kid.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Speaking of terrifying spirits that want to murder you, look at this ugly fuck. This is the murderous spirit of King Ramses, who is a villain in an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. If you don't know, Courage the Cowardly Dog was a show starring Courage, the Cowardly Dog. Abandoned as a pup, he was found by Muriel, who lives in the middle of nowhere, with her husband, Eustace Bagg. But creepy stuff happens in nowhere. It's up to Courage to save his new home. Stupid dog, you made me look bad. Ooga booga booga booga. Okay, seriously. Courage was a show about this lovable purple fuck attempting to protect the only family he has left from paranormal and strange beings. He has no special abilities or powers or anything really. Just a dog. Very unlucky, if anything. He talks sometimes, but no one understands him. Hell, even if they could, Eustace wouldn't give a rat's ass anyways. It was a kid's show that tried to creep you out instead of shove a ham-fisted moral down your throat, and that alone makes it cool. It had an original setting, a great color palette that fit with a theme, straightforward characters, and when it wasn't trying to make you shit your pants, it was pretty funny too.
More cheese! More cheese and macaroni! Macaroni and cheese.
Courage the Cowardly Dog was an incredibly memorable show, but mostly because it had characters like this, and this, and this, and this. Jesus Christ. Who let this happen? John R. Dillenworth? This man. This is the man that you have to blame for these atrocities. Look at him. Look at his face. He laughs at your pain. He doesn't care. One episode that definitely left an impression on me that I mentioned earlier was King Ramses' Curse. It's about how Courage finds an ancient slab, and then King Ramses shows up to harass the family and say, "Return the slab," over and over again. Something about the way that line was delivered and the accompanying imagery left a scar on my soul. Imagine opening your door to that and all you hear is "return the slab" over and over and over and over and over again. There were other downright horrifying creatures in Courage, like the ones I just showed you, but this guy is numero uno on the list of things that make me go, fuck this, just shoot me. Side note, the way that "return the slab" was said sort of reminded me of another kind of audio related childhood trauma that came in the form of a SpongeBob episode of all places. So everyone was a caveman and SpongeGar wanted a stick that Squidgar was holding so he could get this thing out of the fire and eat it. SpongeGar looks at the stick and then heavily debates whether he should steal it or not, but the voices in the background made it seem like he was a serial killer who was about to torture Squidgar and cut him into tiny little pieces. Oh look guys, it was supposed to be funny. It was a barbershop quartet. Oh murder contemplation, you're so hilarious. Fuck that scene. I could never stand it. Always had to mute the TV when it came on. So King Ramses' Curse starts off with a pair of goons driving down a dark road, presumably away from the scene of a crime, as they're being chased by police helicopters. They don't want to be caught with this super illegal thing, so they choose instead to stop the car and hide it underground next to a conveniently placed water pump. Immediately, King Ramses shows up out of nowhere and threatens them to turn the slab or suffer my curse. What curse? They stupidly ask. This curse, motherfucker. Courage witnessed the commotion overnight and went out in the morning to see exactly what was buried in front of his house. Eustace chooses to keep the slab after they find out on the news that it's worth $1 million. They get a visit from a historian who will take it back to the museum, but screw that. Eustace wants that sweet, sweet cash. Translation: we're all going to fucking die. The show skips to nighttime where King Ramses first shows himself to the family uttering the familiar "return the slab" phrase. He tells Eustace and Courage that if they don't return the slab, they'll suffer 3 plagues, each more terrible than the last. The first plague happens immediately after Eustace shuts the door, and the whole house gets flooded. Courage saves Muriel from dying by opening the drain in their basement, because this is a cartoon. Ramses is disappointed, but not even close to being done with his torture. Curse number 2 hits hard with the worst, most annoying song known to man, playing at a deafeningly high volume. Try as they might, no one can block Hell's theme song from reaching their ears. I'd forgotten this song existed. Now I know why. Courage finds the source of the music, pulls a baseball bat out of his ass, and beats the record player harder than Negan beat that one guy. Muriel begs Eustace to give back the slab before they're all dead, and Eustace agrees, as long as his demands are met.
Alright, but $1 million's as low as I'll go.
Oh shit, here comes curse number 3 with the inescapable swarm of death bugs that consume all matter. Hey, why did the dudes at the beginning not have to go through any of the other curses? Ramses just went straight to curse number 3. Was he having a bad night or something? For God's sake, Eustace, return the freaking slab already. $1 million doesn't mean shit when you're dead. The house is nearly destroyed and Eustace gives up, giving Courage the opportunity to chuck that bitch out the window. Does that count as returning the slab? Get enough. Eustace runs out and grabs the slab because money, and then he fucking dies. Return the slab. Just kidding, he gets locked in King Ramses' tomb for all eternity. Happy ending for everybody. While rewatching this episode, I didn't think it was scary at all, because I am a manly man who does not get scared of anything. As a kid, this was scary as hell. I hated when King Ramses was all, "Return the slab." I hated the Man in Gauze song. I hated this whole freaking episode in general. It was the worst Courage episode that I ever saw as a kid. I don't know why it affected me the way it did, but it did. But watching it now, I can appreciate how it was supposed to be funny. Especially when Eustace keeps asking people what their offer is for the slab. Eustace, give back the slab. No. Eustace, we're going to die. What's your offer? What an asshole. He deserves to be freaking locked in that crypt forever. Forever. Okay, so yeah, that was my childhood trauma video that I stole the concept of. Again, let me know if you liked or hate. This was something a little different for the channel. Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, I'll see you guys later. Bye.